We are officially live. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I am so excited to be here with you. It's been a while since I've been on my personal profile going live. And I'm here because I just want to share with you the importance of aligning our faith with our business and the really incredible, awesome results that can happen from you doing that. Um, I know that out there in the business world and the school world and all the stuff that's going on in the world, right? It can be difficult to show up as um, as a child of God in your business and know how to do it in a way that's not like necessarily overpowering, but just allowing your own self, your own faith to come out in your business. And that's really what this is about. And my own personal journey, like, I mean, some of you've been here for a while, right? Some of you have been here for a long time and you have seen my process. You saw me go through the deep hustle culture that I was in a few years ago and coming out of that on the other side completely refreshed because I took time to center myself and get myself back aligned with God and um, and the mission that he's called me into in this season. And yes, our mission can change. Like the bigger mission is always the same, right? It is to glorify God and advance the kingdom of God. But how he has us do that can change over time. So anyway, I'm super excited to be here with you today to talk about this topic. I'm going to be here for 3 days, and so I hope that you join me just today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And we're just going to be diving into some of these things today. So thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I'm just so grateful to have you here, to be pouring into you, to be sharing the things that the Lord shares with me to help you in your business and your life. If you are watching live, will you just let me know? Well, even if you're on the replay, just let me know, what is your area of expertise? What are you, what is your business about? Maybe you're a coach or a service-based provider. Let me know that in the comments because it's so great for me to understand who I'm talking to, especially as are here on the live. And then I'd love you to drop a heart if you saw the invitation for this, the event page for this. If not, you found this by accident, that's awesome. But I still want to know, if you are here and you're still watching because you desperately want to find alignment in your faith, in your business, I want you to drop a heart for me. I want you to drop a heart if you want to be showing up in the full potential that God has called you to in this season. If that is you, if you want to show up as the CEO, co-led by the creator himself in your business, drop a heart. Awesome. I see lots of you joining. That's great. Body, mind, spirit coach. I love that, Angeli. Okay. And drop a heart also if you want a business, if you want your business to be more than just about making money or an income, which is super fabulous, right? We all want to make money. But you know that you were made for more. If that's you, drop a heart because God can truly use you to grow your business, but for his kingdom. Do you see my little sign in the background over here? This is my little mantra that I run my business life by. Your business is God's mission. So I believe it is through this assignment, okay? Or sorry, I believe it is through the alignment of bringing our faith and business together. I believe it's through that alignment, bringing ultra clarity into the work that we do, who we serve, how we serve Him. And knowing that is how we will find true success, whether that means making 5K or 10K months, or if it simply means having more fulfillment in your day to day life, which in fact, I would probably argue like if we found this alignment, we would feel fulfillment in all areas of life. Wouldn't you agree? All right. So in Matthew 25, starts in verse 14 through 30, this talks about the parable of the talents. Have you heard of this one before? If not, please go read it. Like I'm going to go over it today. And actually, it's going to be kind of the foundational piece that we are going to move forward with over the next 3 days. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to read it and pour over it and allow God to speak to you through this too. But in this parable, a man, the master, right? He prepares for a journey and he entrusts a portion of his property to his servants to take care of while he's gone. And so he gives one servant 5 talents, and another he gave 2 talents. And to the last servant, he gave 1 talent, each according to their abilities. So, what he thought they could handle, he gave them. That's important to know. What he thought they could handle in the moment, he gave them to take care of for him. All right. So the first 2 servants promptly invest their talents and they double the amount. So they receive the amount from their master and they didn't put it in the bank. They went out and they invested it and they doubled the amount that he gave them. Okay. But the third servant, do you know what happens? Do you remember this? He buries it. He buries it to protect it, right? Kind of seems like an okay idea, right? The master didn't tell them to go invest it, right? He just asked them to take care of it in his stead while he's gone. So that third servant, he buries his talent. But let's think about why you would bury something, right? You probably bury it because you had some fear that you don't want to lose it, especially if it wasn't yours, right? So you buried it out of fear. So anyway, after a long time, the master returns, right? And he's here to finally settle the accounts with these 3 gentlemen. And the first 2 servants present their doubled talents, the amount they invested, right? So they present this new amount to the master and he is happy. He commends them for that. But the third, because you remember, what did the third do, right? Okay, wait. So first, the 2 that invested it, he commends them and he rewards them with greater responsibilities and he invites them to share in his happiness. But then the third servant who buried his talent, he gives the master the same amount back. And the master, instead of being happy, is like, what? Like, why are you giving this to me? And the master points out that the servant could have at least invested the talent to earn some interest. He could have at least done that. That instead, the unproductive servant is stripped of his talent. So it's taken away from him and it's given to the other 2 who had invested. So the master here wasn't even happy that this guy protected his treasure, right? When he got it back, he was like, "What is this? What is this? Like I gave you this to take care of, but taking care of looks differently than apparently than you think it is, right? It's not about burying, it's about doing something with it." Ding ding ding. That's so important and we're going to dive into this. Okay? So the parable concludes with a warning that those who do not use their entrusted gifts will face consequences. Consequences that are not pleasant, probably. Right? So, this parable is going to teach us some really important lessons about the talents and gifts that God has entrusted to us. And these lessons are going to be so relevant to us as entrepreneurs. And so, we are going to talk about 3 of those lessons today. But again, we're going to come back tomorrow and the next day, and we're going to talk about a few more. Okay? So, the first one we're going to talk about today is stewardship. Will you just drop stewardship in the comments? I know it's kind of a hard word to maybe spell in the moment, but do that for us. We'll know what you're talking about. Okay. So just as the master entrusted his property to his servants, God has entrusted talents, skills, abilities to us. Correct? So as an entrepreneur, we have to recognize that our business skills and even the opportunities that are presented to us are from God. These are gifts. And so it's our responsibility to steward them well, using them to bring about positive impact. So how do we steward them well? What does that look like? What does it look like to steward your gifts well? If you have some ideas, I would love to hear them, okay? So I have this beautiful little group. We call ourselves the Core Four. There's four of us ladies. Um, and I actually have two accountability tribes. And it's funny because they both have about four people in them. But this one we call the Core Four. And we talk about super deep subjects. We talk about how our mind works. We talk about lots of different things. But one of the things that we recently were talking about was like, in the Bible, God doesn't tell us a whole lot of how we do something. Okay. Like, He doesn't teach us how to communicate well with others. He doesn't teach us how to take every thought captive. Okay. And He doesn't even teach us how to have, like, maybe even like a sexy, healthy relationship with our husbands intimately. Okay. So He doesn't teach us a lot of the how. He gives us guidelines. But what He does do is He gifts and equips every single one of us with unique things to share to empower the body of Christ. So I know that, like, I'm supposed to take every thought captive, but the Bible doesn't tell me exactly how to do that. But I know and have met, thankfully, I've learned from people who understand how the brain works, how our mind works. And over time, I have learned some very important skills and have been practicing and mastering some of them so that when a thought comes into my head, if it's not truth, I know what to do with it. I know how to reframe things and rewire things in my brain. And I wouldn't have known that, right? If somebody else was not a good steward of the gift and abilities that God gave them to share it with others. Okay, so this is why it's important. Doesn't matter if you're showing up in business saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian." Like, that's not what it's about. We show up in business as God's light. So that means if we have something to share, we better share it. If He has gifted us or skilled us in something, we better share it. Doesn't have to be shared in the same capacity. You don't have to be on a live video like this, right? If you are somebody, if you are somebody who has, like, thought, "Man, I would love to start a business. I just don't know what." This is where it starts. This is how you will get aligned, is by going to the Lord and saying, "Lord, I know you're calling me to this in this season. Like, I can feel it. I can feel you preparing me for this. I need clarity into what. Show me the gifts, Lord. Show me my abilities that I can help others with." That's where it starts. And if you haven't done that, you're already in business. Good for you. But go ahead and ask those things, reflect on those things, and journal on them because it's important. You might be missing a key part that is going to get you to the 5K, 10K, or more months, right? Okay. So God gives us the responsibility to share our gifts, our talents, and skills, and our insights, which means our experiences with others. We are to be a light on the hill and not hiding our gifts under a rock. It helps nobody by burying those, right? Just like in the parable. We still have it. The man who hid it, he still had the talent, right? But he didn't grow it. It didn't do any good for anybody. So being a good steward also means, oh, I love that. So Angelique says, be willing to grow them. That is also about a part of what being a good steward is. And it's so great that you said that because I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. I love that. Hi, Crystal. All right. So being a good steward also means taking care of the people that He brings into your business. So think about the people that you run into on a day-to-day basis. Like, these are not just your clients, although we need to be good stewards and lead them well, correctly? I mean, right? But it could also be, if you have a brick and mortar business, deliveries, if you have a VA, like, you are stewarding and taking care of the people that are in your life that God has brought through your business. And this also means things like doing things like praying over your clients, praying over your team and all the people that work with you or around you, praying that God would bring the right people in and setting them up for success. Like, if you know that you have something that is really going to benefit other people, then be praying over those people that they would come into your path and that their eyes would be open, right? That they would see that you are the one to help them. So we should be praying over these people. We should be treating them well. And the other thing too, I put this in my stories the other day. So love God and love others as yourself, right? But you can't love others as yourself if you don't love yourself. So being a good steward also means taking care of you. Taking care of you, making time for yourself, understanding the things that excite you and sadden you so you can appreciate yourself and love yourself. Understanding that Jesus, when we are believers, Jesus lives inside of us. So anything negative that we say about ourselves contradicts our actual identity. So um, making space to learn how to love yourself is being a good steward, and it will set you up for being a good steward of others. And of course, on a live video, my nose is itching. How are you guys doing? Awesome. Okay, so let's move into investment and growth. Okay. The servants who invested their talents, they ended up reaping rewards, right? They doubled the amounts, and the master rewarded them for that. God expects us to use our talents productively and not just to maintain them. Okay. So he doesn't want them to stay the same. He wants us to grow them. So in business, this translates to taking calculated risks, seeking growth opportunities, and investing time, our effort, and our resources wisely to achieve business expansion. So the master knew this in the story. The master, not God, but like the master in the story, he knew this. And this was not just some ordinary man. I actually really, when I started digging into this parable, must have been like maybe 2 years ago. It floored me to realize, wait a minute, this master, he's smart. He is a businessman. He was a wealthy investor. He knew the value of investing, and because his servants were close to him, right? Close enough that he would entrust them with his money, right? Because they were close to him, he expected that they would know what he wanted them to do with it. So it's like, no wonder he was disappointed with that third servant. It's like, you knew me. Why would you think I would think this is okay? Yeah, you protected it, but you didn't grow it for me. And you knew if I would have been here, I would have grown it. Right. So he was leaving for that long trip. He had servants. He valued investing and knew the value of it. He was probably a very wealthy man. Um, okay. So let me go back to my notes. He expected his servants would invest, likely because they knew their master. Yes. Okay. So thinking about investment and growth, I want to ask you, what are the goals that you are working on this quarter? Now, it's September. We're not quite to fourth quarter, but we're heading there very, very quickly. How many of you thought that August was super fast? Me, that just flew by. Okay, so I want you to share. If you have some goals that you're working on this quarter, drop them in the comments. Okay, so we have our goals. That's awesome, right? We have our goals. We're going to shoot for the moon. But if you didn't know this already, in order to achieve your goals, you have to learn new skills. So as you're dropping those goals, and if you're here on the replay, like I want to hear what those goals are. I also want you to think, what are the actions? I'm sorry, what are the skills that I need to learn in order for me to move forward in this goal? Okay. So what actions are you taking to achieve them? What are the skills that you need to learn to help you achieve those goals? And just total side note here, if learning anything about sales is on your list, I do want you to consider my 6-week sales reboot intensive. It is a 6-week intensive, which means we are diving quick, we're diving hard, we are going to work And at the end of 6 weeks, you are going to have results. You're going to have ultra clarity in your programs, your offers, your processes. You're going to have a sales strategy in place moving forward. You're going to have all these things aligned so that you can talk to more people quicker and make more money almost effortlessly. If you want the info for that, just drop sales in the comments and I'll get you all the details. So that's just a side note. Okay. If sales is on your radar, I need to work on the skills involved with increasing sales. This is for you. Right. So drop sales. Okay. So knowing and working to master the skills is what will get you to that next level. So where will you be investing your time this quarter? Where will you be growing so that you can make a bigger impact in your business and through your business, ultimately the people that you work with, right? And then as your income comes in, guess what? You get to be a good steward with the income that comes in. What are you tithing to? What are you doing with that income to benefit the kingdom? I'm a huge, huge advocate for widows, orphans, and so the things that we tend to tithe to are anything that revolves around orphans. So if that is something on your heart, I do have a really great place that is wonderful to donate to. So if that's something that you feel called to, let me know. You can just, I don't know, just write orphan or something, or I don't know. Just let me know. You can message me too, and I'll get you that information. But when we start making income, it is important that as a good steward of what God's given us, that we have our accounting set up, that we know what to do with the money that's coming in. All right. And that includes investing it in the kingdom. All right. The third thing that we're going to talk about today, I love that. My goal is to have a clear offer and a good strategy. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to talk about all of that inside the sales reboot. Yeah. And it really does come down to starting here, like understanding the alignment, understanding your identity and what God is expecting of you. And then spending time journaling, really reflecting on how are you being called in this season? Where are you being pulled to? Right? Okay, so the third point today is just accountability and responsibility. So the servants were accountable to their master, right? They knew that when he came back, they were going to have to give this money to him. Okay, so they were held accountable. So being held accountable is important. We're accountable to God, but we're also accountable to a lot of other people, our clients, people who expect things from us, people who we've said yes to for things, right? But we are also, yes, accountable to the Lord and to our larger audience here on social. If you're marketing on social in any way, like you're accountable to the people that are here. So you're accountable to show up properly, right? People hold us as entrepreneurs to a higher standard. So it's important that we show up that way, that we meet that standard mostly. I mean, some people's expectations are a little too high. Okay. But accountability implies that there is more than one person involved, right? And business can be so lonely doing it alone, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I have, in my years in business, I have gone out of my way to find people to connect with. And it's not simple. I mean, the process is simple, but it's not easy finding people that want to open up for some reason. But what's crazy is in my journey of creating community, I have found tons of entrepreneurs that don't want to be alone and they feel alone all the time. So keep reaching out to people, find a community so that you can be accountable to one another. And if you don't have a community to grow with, I want you to consider joining our community, okay? The Productive and Profitable Business Community here on Facebook. Because inside of that community, you will have a place to grow with like-minded people, a place to share your goals, to be held accountable. Like, hey, what's going on with that goal? What skills are you learning this quarter or whatever to help you achieve that? You'll be held accountable to other people and you'll have fun in the process because you're not doing it alone. So please consider joining us inside of the Productive and Profitable Business Community. If you need the link to that, like it's usually everywhere, but if you need the link to that or a direct invite, just drop PPB, Productive Profitable Business, PPB, in the comments and I'll make sure that you get that. So in this parable, it's pretty awesome, huh? And this is only 3 points, only 3 small points. Wait till we come back tomorrow. Okay, so in this parable, we know we are to have good stewardship of the things that God has given us. We know that we are supposed to invest our talents so that we can grow. And we know that we are to have others to be accountable to. We have a major responsibility. We have higher standards that are expected of us as entrepreneurs. And we have a greater impact that we can make. I don't know if you've realized this, but everything that's been going on in the world the past few years, and remember when everything was shut down, but the big box stores were still open? It wasn't just the small business owners that suffered. It was a lot of the smaller things inside of communities that suffered. When you walk into a doctor's office, what do you usually see on the wall? Or if you walk into an automotive shop, what do you see on the wall? Usually pictures of little sports teams with kids there, right? Maybe you see a picture of a girl wearing a crown and holding flowers. These pictures are on the wall because small businesses are what tend to invest in their communities. Kids, especially young adults who are looking for scholarship or sponsorship, they go to these businesses to be invested in, to be poured into. And so we have to, as business owners, okay, we have to be good steward of all that God's given us, because we have an incredible opportunity to make a kingdom impact in our local community. But even when we are here online, like guys, I'm not here to brag, but how freaking cool is it that in the process of allowing God to refine me on camera, pretty much, but all of you guys, that so many people's lives have been affected. It's not just me coaching here. It's not just me. It's God. Like, he's using this platform to impact others. Do you know how many people, like, I have always been somebody who tends to really relate to a lot of people, but a lot of people that I relate to are also not Christians. And so they come into my world and suddenly they're hearing about the Lord. Now, I'm not saying in your business that you need to be all preachy and talking about God, but you just need to be the light on the hill. You need to be showing up in business as a good steward of treating people properly, of loving yourself enough to then have the capacity to show up and serve, right? That's what this is about. God is going to use you if you allow him. And so we're going to start here today. Before we leave today, I want you to take some time and journal and reflect about what we went over today. I really want you to, like, I'm a huge journaler. I really want you to journal about this. I really want you to think, like, what are the talents that God's given me? What have I been doing with them so far up till now? What can I do with them moving forward just over the next few months? Okay. And if you need an accountability community to help you, join over into PPB. If you need skills and strategies to help you on your sales process to show up in better alignment because things are more clear and aligned, then join me in the reboot. Okay? Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. It's just been a pleasure to be with you, and I'm really looking forward to it.